So you're moving to Baltimore City and you have a $350,000 budget. You want to live in the center of the city. You want to be near museums and really good restaurants. We think Mount Vernon is a great choice for this type of living. Now, please like this video and subscribe. We're going to go over 3 years of the most recent data all around Mount Vernon. We're going to take you through the types of real estate you can find in Mount Vernon. And then we're going to take you into like what you can get for $350,000 in Mount Vernon. I'm here with Caitlin and Nick. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Caitlin, tell us a little bit about Mount Vernon and why you love it so much.
Well, it's really a cultural center. There are a bunch of different higher learning institutions, including Peabody, Micah, and it's one of the older neighborhoods in Baltimore. So the architecture is just absolutely stunning.
It is.
Yeah.
Very affluent.
Yeah.
Community from way back.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, I like it because of the culture. I mean, you have the Lyric, you have the Meyerhoff, and the restaurant scene there, I think is great. They have some of the best restaurants in the city. Really cool bars too. So it's nice to do like dinner and a show. That's like one of that's a good date idea. Things like that. It's a nice little neighborhood. So, two of my favorite restaurants, Soda Sopra and the Prime Rib. I mean, the Prime Rib is just like amazing. If you've never been, you got to go. Soda Sopra was one of the first restaurants I went to in the 90s, and I don't get there enough. It's so fantastic. So let's jump into the data. But Nick, let's talk a little bit about how Mount Vernon spans 2 zip codes that basically separate the center of the city and include some other neighborhoods. You want to talk about that? Yeah. So just kind of like you said, it's a neighborhood that's just north of the heart of downtown. So Charles Street, which is a north to south, there's Charles, Calvert, and St. Paul's, which are 3 main arteries that go up and down through the city. Charles Street is the kind of the cutoff. So you have a 21201 zip code, which is on the west side of Charles Street, which includes some areas of downtown and down into like southwest Baltimore. And then you have 21202, which is on the east side, which includes other parts of downtown, but mostly includes the newer affluent neighborhood of Harbor East.
Sure.
Down towards the water.
And so the way that realtors list real estate in the MLS and track data, especially when you have a blurry border around Mount Vernon, they describe things differently. So we like to share, so in the description, the data that you're going to see, we're going to break it down by both of the downtown zip codes, 21201 and 21202. And they perform pretty similarly, right? And so Mount Vernon is, half of one, half of the other. What's going on with new listings and inventory?
I mean, overall, from year to year, they're down. Depending on the zip code, they're down anywhere between 20 and 40%. But when you look at it from just last month to this month, some are down, but some are actually up.
Right. So it's what would you say is going on when you look at new pendings and closed sales, Caitlin, with Mount Vernon in general?
Well, right now in that neighborhood, there are, 4 active listings, 3 active under contract. So there are things happening in that market. In 21201, from last month, they're up 83%. And they're holding about steady from last year. Where in 21202, they are down 15% from last month and down 26% year over year.
New pendings.
Yeah, new pendings. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, that's all new pendings. Yep.
Right. So what's really interesting is the medium sales price for both those zip codes is right around 233, 235. Mm-hmm. One of the zip codes is coming down a bit, one's going up a bit, but they're generally the same, right?
Yeah, and that and it's interesting to see because you do have in 21202 Harbor East, which you do have like $2, $3, $4 million condominiums in that neighborhood. So, it says to our point to say that actually Mount Vernon is a pretty affordable neighborhood, all things considered.
Yeah.
So the 5-year average for days on market in active listings is 26 in 21201, and right now it's at 21. So it's not that far off from the 5-year average. And I think what we're seeing in Mount Vernon, one of the things it's a popular neighborhood, but it's not like crazy popular like some other neighborhoods that we've recently done these market reports on where. For instance, where the original... So in Mount Vernon, talk about the original list price to sales price. What are we seeing there?
It's about 95%.
In both zip
In
codes.
both, pretty much in both zip codes. It's, very, minuscule different between the two of them, which basically, for people who don't know, means like, say I list my house for $100,000, I normally will close it at $95,000. So you're getting a little bit money off of what the original list price is, which kind of shows that there's a little bit of a change in price in both of those neighborhoods.
Right, and we're not really seeing that like in the harbor neighborhoods of Fells Point and Canton, Federal Hill. We're seeing like 103%, 107%, which tells us there's just more interest than there are sellers, right? So that's propping the pricing up. Mount Vernon, it's not the pricing's not as propped up, right?
I mean, there's a specific buyer looking for a condo who's also, ready and willing to pay the condo fees that are associated with living in a condo and living near other people in that kind of proximity.
Sure. Mm-hmm. It's the lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and some of the condo buildings might have issues with your normal conventional financing, where you have to use a portfolio lender, which we have portfolio lenders for those buildings that will, will lend in the buildings that a lot of lenders might have difficulty in. We see that in any area that has a lot of condos. Some buildings have too high of a percentage of investors, so it makes it tricky to get conventional financing.
Yep.
So let's get into the types of real estate. So being a neighborhood that is full of condos, whether they're in low-rise, renovated, or subdivided townhomes that were turned into condos, or even tall buildings, what are some of the price points of the entry-level condos in the community?
I mean, it's really affordable. I mean, looking at some of the data, you can get a really nice entry-level condo for, if you can find it, like less than $100,000.
Like a studio or one bedroom.
Like a really small one-bedroom. But, you really kind of open yourself up to say under $200,000. You can find some really nice one bed, one bath, even two bed, two baths, right? Under $200,000, which is really affordable.
So I feel like the next step up in Mount Vernon is going to be, there are most of the townhomes in Mount Vernon are going to be larger in size, right? So, so the next level up of like the entry level condo would be like the larger condo or a small townhome. And what kind of price ranges are we seeing those?
Those are, anywhere from 200 to 350, kind of depending. I did see one small townhome that sold too in the last 90 days. That was, it was a postage stamp. It was 700 square feet, but that was under 300,000 as well.
There are nice little side streets there that you can actually do find, some nice townhouses that are, I would say, off of like Madison and like under 300,000. There was one that I toured a couple months ago that was two houses in one. It needed some work, but that ended up closing at like $299. It was 1,500 square feet.
So the next category is going to be a wide category. I mean, we're talking about like a townhome that is in over 2,000, but up to 4,500 square feet. It's not going to be the largest ones because they're much larger than that. So what are some of the ranges? Certainly, you're going to see price ranges based on condition and finish, but from like a 2,500 to 4,500 square foot home, what are those range?
Say 700 to about $1 million, depending. Like there was one that recently closed that was like just under 5,000 square feet and had traditional all the gilded finishes, and that went for just a touch under 750. So you can definitely find them. They don't pop up very often, but if you can keep your nose to the grindstone, you can find it. But
I think you'll see some project houses too that might come out in like the 5s or 6s that need a lot of work, like really hadn't been renovated ever or since like the 70s or something like that. So what's unique about Mount Vernon, different than a lot of neighborhoods, is there are true mansions with courtyards and garages and upwards of 8,000 square feet, 9,000 square feet. So what are some of the price ranges we're seeing those kind of houses in?
Those are up in the, anywhere from 8 to 9 to 1.3 to 1.4, depending.
Even more.
Some
multi-millions on some of those, because there are these beautiful ones right off Washington Square, which are 9,000 square feet, these massive mansions, and they're going for $2 million, $3 million.
Yeah, and Mount Vernon, I like because it's a blend of business, retail, and residential, right? Where you get into some of the outlier communities like Canton, you get into long stretches. Now there are like bars and restaurants kind of like mixed in, but you don't have any really tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get that like almost New York feel
Yeah.
with brownstones and tall buildings and that city feel, like something you see out of the movies, like Mount Vernon is the place to
Yeah,
be, right?
that is
It's
the
very
place.
metropolitan is
Yeah.
the way that I describe it to people.
Yeah.
It's got a very city feel to it. Then, like living in Canton where I do, sometimes like after a while it feels almost suburb like, because
It's true.
it's not
Certainly,
you don't-
comparatively.
Yeah, comparatively. I mean, it's not the suburbs. It just after being here since '95, it compared to living in Mount Vernon, which I really, I really like that kind of feel. So there is a buyer that wants that sort of feel. But if you're in the $350,000 budget, what can you get in Mount Vernon?
You can get a really nice condo, like a really nice condo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're talking, depending, like I said, depending on the building, 2 and 2, 2 bed, 2 bath, maybe 3 bed, 1 bath, depending on obviously the building. But you can get them really, over 1,000 square feet, really nice finishes, buildings that have, really good amenities and things like that.
With a lot of history too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or you can find a smaller alley street townhome if you wanted something that would need probably a little work under 350. But you do have a lot of options for what we would consider a very good budget at 350,000.
Yeah. So, Caitlin, Nick, myself, we're real estate agents. Our office is in Fells Point in the city. So we work all across the Baltimore metro area, including all of these neighborhoods, certainly in Mount Vernon. We love the neighborhood just north of Mount Vernon, Station North, downtown, Harbor East, Fells Point, you name it. We'd love to show you around if you're coming to the city. Check out the market data in this description. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep pumping these out. See you next episode. Take care.